Hello and welcome to episode 5 of my F1 career. I'm Ian and here we are in Shanghai for today's Chinese Grand Prix, the second race of my career. It's a cloudy day today as we look forward to this race. It is expected to be partly cloudy by the end of the race. We can expect to see the sun popping out towards the end. The race weekend has been pretty mixed from the previous episode, as you would know. We've had a bit of rain, bit of cloud, bit of sun, bit of everything. So we haven't had much running on this track, but we are starting up in P5 today with Sebastian Vettel and Max Verstappen taking penalties. Let's have a look at the grid then for today's race. And leading them off will be Kimi Räikkönen with Lewis Hamilton alongside him for company. And then behind them, you got Valtteri Bottas, the winner of the Australian Grand Prix last week, with Daniel Ricciardo next to him. Then it's us in 5th place on the racing side of the circuit alongside Sergio Perez. And then it's Felipe Massa, Fernando Alonso, Esteban Ocon, Carlos Sainz. Vettel down in 11th place with Romain Grosjean for company. Then it's Kvyat, Magnussen, Stroll, Max Verstappen with the other penalty. Our teammate Nico Hulkenberg down in 17th place alongside Stoffel Van Dorn, followed by Pascal Wehrlein and Marcus Ericsson for Sauber. In terms of race strategy, we are going for a 2-stopper. We originally intended to do a 1-stopper. Of course, we have to start the race on the super soft tyres, and we were going to try and extend them to around lap 16, 17, something like that, and then go on to the medium compound tyre for the rest of the race, hoping to just do a 1-stopper. But of course, we did not run on the mediums at all in practice. We only had the one set of medium tyres for the very first practice session, which of course was a bit rain-soaked, so we never really got to use them. So in the end, we opted for a 2-stopper. So we're starting on the super softs that, of course, we had to use in Q2, and we'll be coming in around lap 13, and then we're expected to do around 22 laps or 21 laps on the soft tyre, and we'll be pitting again on lap 34, and once more putting on softs for our final stint. So as we finish our formation lap, we are starting on the best side of this circuit. We're starting on the racing side, so we'll have a bit of extra grip going into that first corner, that first right-hander right at the end of this long straight, as we're just waiting for those final few cars, and then it's 5 lights, and then when those lights are out, we are underway at the Chinese Grand Prix. So a little bit of wheel spin right at the start as it nearly sort of sent us into the barriers, but we just managed to keep hold of it. But we were pushed outside by Sergio Perez and an opportunistic Felipe Massa, who managed to squeeze ahead of us and dropped us down to P7 at the end of the first lap. And as we skip ahead to the end of lap 2, you can see we are gaining on Felipe Massa. DRS has not been enabled yet. We got alongside him on the inside, but unfortunately we just braked a little bit too late and we ran wide, which allowed Felipe Massa to easily get past us. But then if you look in the rear view mirror, you can see Esteban Ocon is now having a look, and he's the one that we got tangled up with in Australia, but we managed to just hold our position. We defended bravely from him, and he had to back off, back onto that main straight as we hold 7th place. As we flash you forward to lap 6 now, we are closing in on Massa, but of course we now have Sebastian Vettel right on our tail. We've actually got a little bit of a truly train because we've got Sebastian Vettel behind us who's sort of dragging everyone along in the slipstream, but we managed to get alongside Felipe Massa, and with the DRS, because he's got no one in front because Daniel Ricciardo's much further up the road, we make light work of it and manage to get ahead of the Williams car, which gives us a little bit of breathing room from Sebastian Vettel, who's now on the tail of Felipe Massa. As we skip you forward to lap 13 now, we've managed to pull away from Massa, but Sebastian Vettel is not having any luck getting past us. He just cannot get close to us on this back straight. So we have been holding him and really ruining his race. We've been holding him back. We're in 5th place. He's down in 6th, but we are about to pit. And as you can see, Sebastian Vettel and Ferrari have the exact same idea. But watch down on the mini-map, because what you will see is you will see yellow flags being waved because Max Verstappen has to pull out of this race. He pulls over to the side, and that brings out the safety car, which is the worst time for us because it hasn't helped us at all. It was so poorly timed that by the time we come back around, Sebastian Vettel has jumped us, and rather worryingly, the man that we just seem to be getting entangled with constantly, Esteban Ocon, comes out ahead of us. There he is coming out of the pit lane, and we cannot get past him now that we are stuck behind and we are just following each other. There's no overtaking. As we await the restart along this back straight, we just get a little bit too close and quickly give his rear tyres a little kiss with our front wing, but we pick up a 5-second stop-go penalty, which we will have to serve in our next pit stop, which I really, really didn't want to see. Safety car is now pulled away and the race leader has restarted this race, and we didn't get a great start once again as Ocon just starts to pull away into the distance. We do have a little bit of distance over our nearest challenger, Fernando Alonso, who's actually on the super soft tyres, but those long straights and that very, very poor Honda engine in the McLaren car allows us to not have to worry too much about him because he just doesn't have that speed on the main straight. And we now sit in 13th place on the restart. But as we come down that back straight on lap 17, we are side by side with Esteban Ocon. We see our opportunity, and there is Sebastian Vettel ahead of us, battling away with a Haas of Romain Grosjean. Sebastian Vettel side by side, we're side by side. The two Silvas are side by side in front, and there are 6 cars all battling away, but we couldn't get past Esteban Ocon. We hesitated a little bit because we know exactly what he can do to us as Nico Hulkenberg dives into the pits, as that was a poor strategical decision by our team there for hitting him after the safety car. That's Hulkenberg's race effectively ruined just from that move alone, as we move all the way up to 10th place now, having not actually managed an overtake yet. Later on in this lap, though, on lap 18, we were much, much closer to Esteban Ocon, who was having a look up on the outside of Romain Grosjean. We come and have a look on the inside, but we just about pull it off. We managed to get ahead of Esteban Ocon, but Romain Grosjean pulls ahead of both of us. So we move up into 9th place as we were 3 wide going into that hairpin, and we were right on the inside. We were very, very lucky not to have any contact between all 3 of those cars because you had Sebastian Vettel ahead of us battling away with a Silva who made quite light work of it. But rather interestingly, DRS has now been re-enabled following the safety car period, and we can hope to close down and overtake Romain Grosjean quite soon. We flash you all the way forward to lap 29 now. We just cannot get past the Haas of Romain Grosjean. We've pulled a little bit away from Esteban Ocon now. We're about a 5-second lead over the Force India driver, and let's face it, the guy that we absolutely hate following Australia. But we are within 1 second. We're under half a second from Romain Grosjean now, and this is our opportunity. As you can see, the sun has started to come out a little bit, so it does mean that the tyres are going to get a little bit hotter. You can see on the steering wheel, you can see those tyres are getting up to around 100 degrees, which is sort of ideal. But here we go, as you got DRS, and we made this move look very, very easy as the Haas was just a sitting duck, and we squeezed past him and moved up into 7th place. But rather interestingly, Sebastian Vettel pitted on lap 29. So we moved back ahead of him. We actually move up into 6th place now because he ended up pitting before us. Remember, we aren't expected to pit for another 4 laps. So you can expect to see Vettel coming back and challenging us once more for position. We jump forward to lap 32 now. You may have just seen there, just as we come to that final corner, we just started getting a flashing green flag, because you can see on the minimap just behind us that a car has pulled over, DRS has been disabled, and it's Romain Grosjean who is out of this race. We were battling with him before, but we now have to deal with a virtual safety car, which thankfully doesn't last long, but as you can see in the wing mirrors, we have mirrors full of a Red Bull. We've got Daniel Ricciardo right behind us with Sebastian Vettel. They are itching to get past us. They are in such quicker cars compared to our Renault, and with this long back straight now ahead of us, you can expect to see them closing right down and going for the overtake. But as you can see, it's not quite as simple as that, is it? Because Sebastian Vettel closes in on us. He's making a move on Daniel Ricciardo on the inside, and he manages to pull it off. So Sebastian Vettel is right behind us. He's managed to get ahead of Ricciardo, but they are still not clear of us, and we are really having to give it the beans, because although they're not our challengers, we don't want to give up 2 positions quite as easily as we thought, as Sebastian Vettel getting very, very close on that main straight right at the end coming into the first corner. He does of course have DRS along with Daniel Ricciardo. We don't. There is no one ahead. Perez is about 10 seconds up the road, if not more, so we have no DRS, and we've got 2 screaming cars of Vettel and Ricciardo right behind us. But as we get onto that back straight again, this is where all the overtaking happens, and you can see, look how close Sebastian Vettel is as he's getting very, very close, very close. He's really pushing us almost off the track, and he comes along on the inside, makes the overtake stick just about. We lock up, so does Sebastian Vettel, and Daniel Ricciardo now seizes his opportunity, and he gets past as well. In one move, we've dropped 2 positions, and Vettel and Ricciardo, they carry on, but we quickly dive into the pits, but this will be our final pit stop of the race. But of course we have to serve our 5-second penalty before we can get back out. So we dive in 8th place and come out behind Fernando Alonso in 12th. We move forward to lap 36 now, and Fernando Alonso has actually managed to get ahead of Esteban Ocon, but not for much longer as the 2 drivers tussle away right at the end of the back straight. Ocon had DRS and moved to the inside and managed to overtake the slow McLaren Honda into that hairpin, but Alonso is not giving up the fight as we get onto that final corner with Alonso right behind Ocon, us right behind Alonso. Both Alonso and myself have DRS, which enables us to have a sneaky look, but we back off. We just don't want to run that risk on Alonso closing the door, but we have a look up on the inside going into turn 2, but Alonso's side by side with us. He's not giving up the fight. He pushes us out of that corner and regains 8th place, and we have to regroup and have another attack at the end of this lap. As we approach that long back straight, we are still stuck behind Fernando Alonso. We are managing to get a lot closer to him though, and this is our opportunity. We're getting a little bit of oversteer coming onto that back straight, but we will have DRS, and it looks like we're going to get this move done before the DRS has even been enabled on our car. We get past him, absolutely no drama. We move up into 8th place now with cars having stopped for their 3rd stints. And we are now chasing down Esteban Ocon, who, remember, we got that 5-second penalty from earlier on in this race. And, of course, last week, he took us out of the Australian Grand Prix. Let's get him. Lap 41 now, and we are very, very close to Ocon. We need to get super close to that for that DRS detection zone on that next right-hander, and we just about get there. We're within a second, but not by much. It's a lot closer than we'd had hoped. Alonso's off in the distance behind us. He's 6 seconds back. That shows how much pace that Honda engine is down. But we are closing in on Ocon. We've got the slipstream, we've got DRS, which Ocon doesn't have. But you watch this amazing defensive move, because Ocon defends the inside, so we have to go all the way around on the outside. We are side by side with the driver that ended our race in Australia, going around that hairpin, but he's not yielding, we're not yielding, and we have to drop back on that final left-hander, the final corner of the circuit. But we get DRS, he doesn't onto the main straight, and we just get ahead of him and we are finally clear of one of the Force Indias, and we now can start chasing down Sergio Perez for 6th. And we're still trying to regain this position from the beginning of the race. Remember, Perez got us on the first corner, and we're going to try and get him with 14 laps to go. On to lap 43, yet again we are eyeing off a Force India on this back straight. We bumped the fuel mix up to Rich. We're a little bit far back. We got DRS, so we have to make this move stick. We have braking very, very late. We've got that inside. We're going to try and keep it fair. We just about do, but we're now side by side. We're in the opposite position to the way we were before with Ocon, but Perez this time, he manages to pull off the overtake. He manages to keep his place in 6th, and we have to fall back into 7th place as we'll have to have another look on this lap, which is now lap 44. There won't be any mistaking this time. We are much closer than we were to him before. Last time was a sort of opportunistic move by us, but now we've got that slipstream. We're right on his tailpipe. We get the DRS. This will be an easy overtake. But look at those, like Sergio Perez just has a little jink to the right. He tries to scare us to make us back out as we lock the brakes really hard. Those front brakes really straining under the weight of the car doing those sorts of speeds. But we get in front of him on that hairpin, and we are so far behind Daniel Ricciardo in 5th. We just have to maintain 6th place now. You can just see Daniel Ricciardo. He's 41 seconds up the road. So 6th place is basically all we can hope for. But as it turns out, we are the last of the lead cars to go through the circuit. We are literally the last one. Esteban Ocon did get lapped by the eventual winner, Kimi Raikkonen, who picked up his first win for many years. I think 2014 was his last race win, but he wins here in China as we cruise home for a 6th place finish, and just ahead of us is a Sauber, but we never got close to him to enable the blue flags. So here is the final classification then, with Kimi Raikkonen winning the race ahead of Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas coming in 3rd. Sebastian Vettel finished 4th, and he was 20 seconds behind his teammate and only 4 seconds behind Valtteri Bottas. Imagine where Vettel could have been if he didn't get stuck behind us earlier on in the race. Then, of course, there was Daniel Ricciardo, followed by us in 6th place. Then it was Esteban Ocon, Fernando Alonso, Danny Kvyat, and Kevin Magnussen picking up the final point position. Our teammate Nico Hulkenberg down in 12th place, a long way off the pace. And we lost 3 cars. We lost Stoffel Van Dorn quite early on, around lap 9 or 10. Then we lost Max Verstappen to the safety car. And then, of course, Romain Grosjean brought out that virtual safety car. After the race, I did jump into the media pen and answered a couple of questions from the journalists.
Well, congratulations on your first points this season. You were a bit unlucky with that safety car, and then with that 5-second time penalty. That must have hurt.
Not really. It didn't affect us in the race. We were so far behind Ricciardo that the 5 seconds made no difference. But I think what really annoyed me was the sort of double standards of the incident. We get a 5-second penalty for bumping into Ocon, but Perez did the exact same thing to us in race conditions in the first race back in Melbourne, and he got nothing. He got away with it. So, and if anything, I got a warning from the stewards at the end of the race. So it was really, really frustrating with that double standards, but thankfully it didn't affect our race. So that's the important thing, I suppose. And 6th place, I'll take that any day of the week.
We're enjoying this battle you've got going with Ocon. Was that overtake sweeter than your move on Perez for your eventual P6?
Yeah, yes and no. I don't think it really makes a great deal of difference. An overtake's an overtake, but it was a fantastic battle between Ocon and myself. I do have a lot of respect for Esteban despite what happened in Melbourne. But I think 6th place, that move for 6th place was crucial, because Renault needs as many points as we can get this season. So, was it better? I don't know. I think it was a better move for the racing fan, but in terms of helping the team, I think the move over Perez was better.
Thanks very much.
Thanks.